Hi, I'm Bernadette Janae from Old Navy's design team. Spring is here, so it's time to unbundle and show yourself off to the world again. And at Old Navy, we've got the outfits of the season to take you from brunch to beach to boardwalk and back. And now through Sunday, it's Old Navy Spring Break Sale with thousands of your favorite items on sale, like our T-shirts from $5, cute dresses and shorts from $15, plus swimwear from $10. So hit the spring break in style and run to Old Navy.
Val 34 to 313. Select styles only. See store for details.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the weekly Business Success Podcast that is sponsored by the Time to Play Foundation, a 501c3 not-for-profit organization whose objective is to help people learn to enjoy their life through programs, public awareness, outreach activities, events, and learning opportunities that further the concept of enjoying life. You can check the website, timetoplay.com, for many resources that will allow you to make things better for yourself, your family, and your organization. My name is Jerry Siegel. My business is JASP Management Coaching, Training, and Development. And we hold these podcasts weekly to help entrepreneurs avoid some of the mistakes that those of us that have been in business for years have made. So we're trying to help people learn from others' experience as opposed to having to have the opportunity or the lack of opportunity to experience things themselves. We've covered many areas in these podcasts. We've covered starting to prepare the business. We've talked about the fact that the business entrepreneur, the business owners, need to be salespeople in addition to running their business. We've talked about the idea of going alone or with partners, about the need to self-manage, manage oneself, and manage all the resources that exist. Obviously, money and time being two of the most important. We've touched on understanding failure and understanding risk and minimizing risk, but recognizing that failure is somewhat inevitable because it provides an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to change how you're doing things. Today we're fortunate that we have Linda Eicholz, CPA, on the phone, who's going to be talking about what it's like to be in business, and she's going to be discussing some of the key components that allowed her to begin her practice and talk about some of the challenges that she faced. So before we get started with some questions, Linda, please introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Linda Eicholz. I'm a CPA, like Jerry said, located in East Torquay on Main Street. And I've been in the business, I've been in the accounting field for many, many years, 25, 30 years. I've been in my own practice for approximately 12 years.
Okay. We also, I believe, have Gina on the line. Gina, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, should I say. My name is Gina Lollo. I am a real estate broker in the Pawtucket area, and I work with the Time to Play Foundation on the board, working with creating different programs and getting involved in the community and giving back to the community. And that's why I like to be part of these podcasts every week. So if I can, add anything or help anyone build a business or improve their business or maybe, what to do, what not to do, those types of things. So, Jerry, I always appreciate listening in and adding where I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. And Linda, I'm not certain I happen to be a CPA by my first career, but I only stayed in accounting long enough to become certified. Did not practice accounting afterward and have been in a number of different areas. But let me ask you to start off by telling us what made you decide to go into your own practice.
Well, pretty much I was working for a gentleman in his own small practice, and it's something, number one, I always wanted to do. I love the accounting field. I love dealing with numbers because they have to match. So there's a concrete answer. What I do, when I decided to go out in business on my own, I was doing what I was doing for him, and I said, you know what, I could do this for myself. And that's when I stepped out and started my own practice. I was doing, pretty much personal returns for family members for many, many years. And then I branched out doing it for referrals and whatnot, and I started getting into the corporate end of it, doing monthly and quarterly work for corporate clients. But it doesn't end just there, as I'm sure, Jerry, you know. It's more of trying to help them build their business, looking at numbers, where they can cut, where they can save money, what they should be spending more money on. So it's not really as simple as, just numbers. It's looking deeper into the business and seeing how you can help them out and as they go along in their business.
Very, very definitely, Linda, because preparing a balance sheet or an income statement is not especially difficult for somebody that's been trained in those areas. But for the entrepreneur, for the business owner or owners, they need to be able to look at ratios. They need to be able to look at the intricacies of what that statement holds, and they need to be able to plan and project based on what exists and what they envision they want to exist. But let me ask you, Linda, what challenges did you face the first 3 years?
The first 3 years, starting on my own, it was pretty much word of mouth is where you get your clients from. A lot of people don't like to leave their prior accountants, and if they do, there's a reason for it. So that was one of the challenges I had. However, I did at that time, we were able to do sales calls. So at that time, I hired someone, had someone make some sales calls for me, got me in the door, and then I took it over from there. And honestly, up until I would say maybe 5 years ago, that's where I got all of my clients from, and then it was referrals from there.
So you were successful in having somebody market your services for you?
That's correct.
Since the accountant-client relationship is somewhat of a personal relationship, I am intrigued as to how that had worked for you in that regard.
It worked very well because what happened was I specialize in small to medium-sized businesses. So what happened was they would give the owner a call. Of course, it was very difficult getting the owner on the phone, especially with a small business. If you got them on the phone, they necessarily didn't have time, or call me back at a later date, and it's because they're running their own business and doing all the bookkeeping and accounting work, which many, many small businesses do.
Yes.
So what I did was the employee that worked for me would call them back and confirm the appointment, and then I would touch base with them to make sure that they were on board for the appointment. I'd go in, I'd introduce myself, I'd have a list of referrals for those that I did have already if they needed some referrals, and I would just persevere in going in and trying to explain to these small businesses, mainly small businesses, that you have to do what you do best, which is running your business. If you're an auto mechanic, you do oil changes. You do, transmission stuff. Let me do what I do best, which is dealing with numbers. And the issue with that, and I may be skewing a little bit off of the question, is that a lot of people are like, well, I'm a small business, I can't afford it. However, you cannot not afford it.
Correct. Actually, one of the things that we've touched on, Linda, in these podcasts is the fact that typically outside resources are relatively inexpensive because they bring expertise in a particular area of the business that the entrepreneur or entrepreneurs are not necessarily familiar with, because as in reference that you made, the auto mechanic knows automobiles. He knows all that is necessary to maintain and allow the vehicle to be on the road in terms of service and maintenance and repairs, but certainly the likelihood that he or she knows bookkeeping or accounting is remote and unlikely. Whether we're talking about the accounting function, we're talking about the legal function, we're talking about marketing. We're covering a number of different areas that there would likely be limited, if at any, understanding and knowledge. And one of the points that we've made in these podcasts previously, and it's certainly something that can be made again and again, and that is that 75 to 80% of all businesses are identical, because everybody has clients or customers, or certainly needs them. Everybody has communication. Everybody needs goals. Everybody needs leadership. They need a mission, a vision, a purpose for their organization. They need to have people skills. They need to be able to supervise, and they need to be able to manage themselves and manage their time. And this is regardless of whether they are in retailing, wholesaling, manufacturing, or in a professional services business, as you are, Linda. But since you mentioned that you were, in effect, acting as a salesperson, can you touch on that when you first made those calls, those contacts, and were able to close some new clients?
Sure. What I usually did was, once again, I would make sure that they were still keeping the appointment, because their time and your time is significant, and you don't want to, of course, waste anybody's time. And once I got there, I presented, what I did do was present it in such a way that, exactly what I said, that I would be helping them run their business through the number end of it. So another thing is small businesses don't usually have monthly or even quarterly or semi-annually, whatever you want to say, books. They give you all their receipts, and they don't even know what is going on in their business, and that could be very detrimental. So I would say to them, I would come in on a quarterly basis. We'll go over everything, enter everything in for you, and go over your financial statements to see exactly where you stand. Because a lot of small businesses, I find, do not know where they stand. And I think, correct, honestly, that was a very big key for me. You still always got that pushback of maybe, I can't afford it, or right now I'm not ready. But a lot of the clients I did get, they were ready to move on and do what they do best, and be able to see throughout the months or the quarters what their business is doing. Because without that, you can't give any constructive criticism as far as what they should be doing. Right. And they don't have a clue.
No, certainly. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I think it's an invaluable service. You really give the business an opportunity, or the business owner rather, an opportunity to hone in on his business and his or her business, to see where they're spending money, where they can spend more money, what's working, what's not working. And I think more importantly, like you said earlier, to do what they do best. Their time is not best spent, putting receipts into the computer or into, a spreadsheet and looking at numbers and taking their time to do that. Their time is better spent mixing and mingling and networking for new clients and improving their business. And like you said, do what they do best, the auto mechanic or, the car salesman, should be out there in front of the people, not behind the computer, not crunching the numbers. And giving them more opportunity and more time to do that will give them more opportunity to build their business and to make their business better. And hopefully bring in more income because they're not spending their time, behind the computer crunching the numbers. They're, allowing someone else to do it. So I think it's very important.
Very definitely. Gina, did you have something you want to add on that?
Nope, I'm done.
Okay. Then let me just add the fact that we've talked about and again can emphasize building on one's strengths and understanding that when you build on your strengths, you can allow others to handle areas in which you may be weak. And that is one thing that Linda is talking about today, because, again, you're talking about an area of expertise that would most likely not have been previously learned. Yes, there are certainly a tremendous amount of computer programs that can provide some insight and information, but even entering the information into the programs does take time. And it's essential that the entrepreneur, the leader, the leaders recognize that their time needs to be spent on their high payoff activities. And typically, bookkeeping and accounting is not going to be a high payoff activity, although it is certainly a critical component, because without knowing whether the bottom line is red or black, it's impossible to know where you're going to be a month from now, 3 months from now, or a year from now. And
correct.
One of the reasons, as we've touched on, that most businesses fail within the first 3 years, certainly one of those reasons is because they don't know how to give themselves the necessary information to know how they're doing. And one of the things that an accounting professional can do is give them that feedback on a regular basis. And as Linda is saying, can provide them the ability to look at areas in which they're spending, look at areas in which they're not spending, and see where they can change and where they can make things different in order to make things better. Linda, let me ask you, what elements of management do you attribute to the success that you've experienced in your business?
I would say definitely people practices. You have to be very personable. You have to, speak to them and have them understand, try to get them to understand that you're benefiting them. You're going to benefit them and their business. So definitely people practice is a big part of any business. Being there for the client. I always make sure I have an open door policy. They can call me anytime. Once again, that all goes into that people practice. You know what? Dealing with the public, the biggest thing for me is all about them. It's all about them, being there for them, being there for their business. And time management is another big thing, because if you have your time and you're managing your time, you can help out someone else see where they may be able to save some time. And once again, it goes back to the whole thing of having someone else do something that they are not either a professional in or up on, and doing what they do best.
Well, let me just tag on there, Linda, because time management is one of the areas that I help leaders understand in that regard is an oxymoron, because you can't manage time. Time is here and it's gone. You can't take today and save it for tomorrow, and you can't use something that yesterday wasn't utilized efficiently, but you can learn to manage yourself so that you can use your time more effectively and efficiently. And one of the ways you can do that is by spending your time primarily in areas where you are good, in areas of expertise, in areas that you know what you're doing, as opposed to other aspects of the business that are necessary, because there are so many that need to be addressed. But by utilizing outside resources and using experts such as you are in the accounting area, Linda, allows the business owner, the entrepreneur, to focus on what they do best, as I hear you saying. Let me ask, in regard to outside resources, what outside resources do you use successfully in your business, in your accounting practice?
Right. Well, I have, I go to, I'm part of the AICPA, so that is a very good resource for me. If I needed something, I can I'm a member there, the New York State Society. So it's joining in your field, making sure you're part of that field one way or another, whether it's through joining groups that can help you out and target and help you target what you need to do and hear other people's situations, because you can always learn from someone else. Not that you may not stumble and fall, let's say, but that's a good thing if you can pick yourself up, dust yourself off, learn from it, and move on. Networking is a great tool that I feel everyone should be using.
Very, very definitely, because you constantly need an inflow of new prospects and new clients in order to replace those who are going to leave you for one reason or another. One reason being that, as we've talked about, they don't remain in business. They are not able to continue to experience any success, and therefore they are lost as a client or a customer. And that is going to occur regardless of what area you're working in.
Another resource, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Another resource that I think is very important is what we call, a budget, not a budget, a plan for a business plan. However, a business plan can really be as simple as setting your goals. Where do you expect to be, like you said, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, and visually seeing it. I do that in my personal life as well as my business, and it really has helped me keep on track as far as looking at it often, almost not every day, but at least weekly, seeing where I'm at, what adjustments I need to make throughout the year. So that's a great resource that I think people should tap into more so. Business plan absolutely is great, but to get started, if you start with a goal or many goals for your business, what do you expect to see? Then you could bloom it into a whole business plan, and other experts can help you out with that, which I'm sure that's probably something you do, Jerry, correct?
Jerry,
yes,
you rang your bell, Jerry.
very, very definitely, Linda, because we've covered the fact that the most important time that any business owner, any entrepreneur can spend on a continual basis is time for planning and goal setting. Because without those goals and without the plans to achieve the goals in place, the likelihood of accomplishing and achieving is reduced dramatically. And, we talked about the fact that success is not overnight. It takes time, it takes planning, it takes practice, it takes patience, it takes perseverance. And all of these components are necessary for a business to achieve success and to remain successful. And in order to remain successful, one of the components that businesses need to do and business people need to do is they need to embrace change, because we've mentioned that change is the only constant in life, and the world is changing so rapidly at this point in time that the business owners need to embrace that change, and they need to be willing and be flexible to allow themselves and their business to change along with it. Now, that presents another further challenge, because people are resistant to change, people are fearful of change, and roughly, based on the statistics that are given to me that I use in my training and development business, about 95% of what we do every day we do by habit. And as a result of that, which includes not just the habits that we practice, but the way we think, because attitudes are habits of thought, we don't generally think about the way we think. We just respond, we just react, we just go, and we just do. And unfortunately, many of those habits were created years ago, and they may have been functional at that point in time, but because the individual is totally a different person today and the world is a different place today, they need to be revised and revisited and changed. But as I said, change is certainly challenging. Let me ask Linda, why would you encourage or discourage someone to be an entrepreneur?
Well, the first thing I truly believe is there has to be passion connected to it. This is my own opinion, but to be successful, you have to love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, it becomes like work. Anything else. Oh, I got it. Right, work. Exactly. And that's not what you should be looking for in your own business. Of course, everyone wants to make money. I get it. But it should really be what you love doing. So on one level, I would say if you do not have that passion and you're doing it because that's my number one reason for me. If it's not a number one reason that you're doing something, I really think hard about it, because a lot of the times it's not going to work, especially if you're a small business. It's not going to work. As far as it's a great, owning your own business, it could be a great thing. You just have to learn as much as you possibly can from other people, listening to these podcasts, and because you really do learn a lot, and you have multiple people in different fields with different experiences, and of course you're not going to take everyone's experience, but listen. That's a true key is in any field, including in business with your clients, is listen. If you can listen to them and listen to other people give you advice, doesn't mean you have to use everything, but think about it, and you can really change your entrepreneurship and learn and become that much more enhanced in becoming an entrepreneur.
Yes, definitely. As I said in the beginning of today's program, the easiest way to learn is from other people's experience, because other people have been there and they've done that, and even though things continue to change constantly, there are certain aspects of running and operating a successful business of any kind that do not change. And as I said, planning and goal setting are certainly two of the ingredients in that regard. But some of the areas that you've mentioned in today's conversation, Linda, are also critical in that regard, and that is the people process, the idea that you are always looking to build your business, that you're always seeking to grow, you're seeking to expand, and you're seeking to change. And in doing that, you are able to maintain what you have attempted to accomplish and achieve. Let me ask one last question, and then we're going to be wrapping up for this afternoon. Linda, first of all, let me thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today. We must appreciate you sharing with us. And before I ask that last question, let me advise anybody who is listening today or is listening subsequently, because Blog Talk Radio allows somebody at any point in time to listen to these podcasts. We encourage you to advise us of subjects that you wish to discuss, of questions you may have that you want to be covered. You can email timetoplay.com, and you can have us address these items in these weekly podcasts. So the question I was going to ask, Linda, is if you had the opportunity to do it again, what would you do differently?
I would personally start earlier. I would also reach out and put a little more thought and money into, and I know money sometimes is an issue for someone new, into marketing. Get your name out there. Get so that when people start seeing your names, oh yeah, I've seen that name. That's very important. But also, I would have started earlier on a personal note than I did. But everyone, does what they need to do and when they need to do it, and I keep persevering, keep getting new clients, and that's what it's all about.
Right. Well, and Linda, you mentioned the AICPA. And just as an aside from my perspective, because I've worked with many practitioners, actually one of the areas that I happen to be specialized in is in the accounting area, because, again, I certainly understand how accountants think. Are you familiar with NCPAP?
Yes.
Okay, because that is another very valuable resource where practitioners can question one another and receive feedback from their peers that can provide some answers to questions that they may not otherwise be able to provide. Mm-hmm. Once again, let me thank Linda. Let me thank Gina, who basically has been a listener on this call, but certainly is one of the key people for the Time to Play Foundation. She is helping in many ways, and in that regard, let me mention that this week there is a special event for Time to Play. It's being held on March 6th out here locally at the Holiday Inn Express in Stony Brook. Wednesday evening from 5:30 to 8:30. Mm-hmm. And Ginny, you want to touch on that? You probably know that better than me. You want to say a couple words on that before we close this podcast?
Sure, absolutely. I appreciate the time. So yes, we are having a fundraising event. All proceeds will be going back to the Time to Play Foundation to benefit the Basement Program, which is a program for teens and not so teens to promote their art, their music, their personal flair, their comedy, whatever their passion is, in a safe environment, a non-judging environment. So we're trying to raise funds for them, and it's also businesses giving back. So the businesses who are coming out are donating their time, donating their baskets. There'll be raffles. There'll be lots of great business men and women to mingle with, to meet, and to hopefully prosper with in the future. So that's the game plan of the evening.
Okay, and let me also suggest that we ask that you do support the sponsors that we have. They're listed on the website. Because those are people that are providing some of the resources that are necessary to offer these podcasts. Because, as I mentioned previously, we're talking about a not-for-profit organization as Time to Play. So with that said, let me wish everybody a good afternoon. We'll be back next Tuesday at noon on a live basis. but these podcasts are available anytime through blogtotalkradio.com.
And Jerry,
Linda,
I
let
truly
me thank you very much.
And I truly appreciate Time to Play inviting me to speak.
Thank you again, and thank you, Gina, for bringing Linda into the podcast. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, everyone.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Bernadette Janae from Old Navy's design team. Spring is here, so it's time to unbundle and show yourself off to the world again. And at Old Navy, we've got the outfits of the season to take you from brunch to beach to boardwalk and back. And now through Sunday, it's Old Navy Spring Break Sale with thousands of your favorite items on sale, like our T-shirts from $5, cute dresses and shorts from $15, plus swimwear from $10. So hit the spring break in style and run to Old Navy.
Valid 3/4 to 3/13. Select styles only. See store for details.